Hello, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharp. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments now. I have a good topic for you today. So, as they're now moving forward with asylum applications, many individuals do have pending asylum cases. And one major concern that I see, it is totally possible to win an asylum. How do I know? We have won the asylum, even under this administration, but it has to be done correctly. And many people underestimate what it's going to take to submit and get an asylum application approved and end up in problems later on. Now, the asylum process can be years long. It could be a couple months or even years long, and many people are facing that delay. Now is the time to think about whether you need to make sure you're submitting additional documentation or evidence to strengthen your asylum application. Because many times when I talk to individuals who have submitted their asylum application, I ask them what is it they're claiming asylum based on, and also what is it that they have submitted to support their asylum claim. And oftentimes it's not enough to get an asylum approved. They have a good case, they may qualify, but the evidence that they submit is not enough. And that's where it's going to make a difference in the outcome of your case. So oftentimes, the declaration, the number one reason is that the statement that's submitted is not sufficiently detailed. And if it's not sufficiently detailed, there's not enough information to tell the officer whether you meet the legal criteria. Um, no matter what, it's going to be denied, right? And if you're doing that and you're submitting an insufficient declaration, then going into that interview may not go as well, right? Because if you don't even have enough material or information to put on the documentation, you can't freestyle it in the interview and then expect to now come up with all the details there. The officer in the interview is always testing credibility, and they're doing that by looking for inconsistencies, because you must have a credible fear of persecution. And so that's another thing. If there is insufficient detail in your declaration, then the officer is not going to come across credible. And furthermore, going into the interview, the officer can certainly, definitely start to attack certain inconsistencies as you're going through the interview. So it's not too late, though. That's the good thing. It's never too late to make sure you're supplementing your asylum application, making sure that because here's what we do. When we are preparing the asylum application, we do a very, very detailed declaration based on our client is experiencing. This includes dates, times, places, incidents. And then also keep in mind that you must make sure you meet a legal criteria under asylum. So for one, you should not be going, saying that because you're afraid to go back to your country because the crime is really high. That does not qualify anybody for asylum. There's very specific legal criteria for asylum. You must have a credible fear of persecution based on based on religion, your religion, political opinion, on your nationality, based on particular social group. So these are examples of an ethnicity. So these are examples of where you must fall under, right? You must fall under one of those criteria or categories to even get a foothold through the door to qualify for asylum. So it's not about you were attacked, or you were targeted generally because of crime rates. It's more about, were you particularly targeted because of certain qualities that you held, right? Whether it's your religion, your religious beliefs, your political opinion, where you stand on certain controversial issues or subject matter in your country that's causing people to turn against you. Once again, nationality, ethnicity, um, and a particular social group. Now, particular social group is a broadly stated one. And that is where a lot of people you can define a particular social group. And I don't want to get too technical. This is where, though, if you are afraid of returning to your country, that you give us a call, talk to us. If you're afraid of returning to your country because this feels familiar, right? You base identity based on who you are with. You are you're facing certain dangers. So keep that in mind, that you have to make sure that you can relate to one of the categories that I just described. Now, any particular group could be broadly defined. For example, the LGBTQ community in Jamaica is a part of a particular social group because they're being targeted based on who they are, and based on their the group, the overall group that they belong to. That's just an example, though. It could be anything. So, for example, if you're in a country, and I like to give very any particular social group could mean, if, for example, you're in a country and say you're a part of a group of people that enjoy chocolate cake. This is just an example. It's going to be a ridiculous, unrealistic example, but I just want to show you how you can define a particular social group. So you're a part of a group of people that really enjoy chocolate cake. And but the thing is, it is in the law that nobody can eat chocolate cake. If they catch you eating chocolate cake, you're gonna be imprisoned, tortured, and possibly killed. And but you believe that it is within your right. It is within your right. It's a representation of your freedom to be able to eat the chocolate cake. So you, along with other people who are in that group, are identified as those that like chocolate cake. And so as a result, the community targets you, the governmental authority targets you for liking chocolate cake. And so you find yourself being arrested, targeted, people in your group being killed. And that sets off that fear in you that you need to escape the country. Because all across the country, they're looking for anybody who's in that group that likes chocolate cake, right? That just goes to show you any particular how it's broadly defined. We look at, does the group share certain characteristics that cause them to be targeted in the country? So it could be anything, right? So, for example, in Central America, at one point, a particular social group were married women who were unable to leave the marriage, who were victims of domestic violence. So I usually say this: start here. If you're feeling fearful because of something in your identity, it's time to give us a call and talk to us. And there is a deadline to apply for asylum. You have to apply within 1 year of your entry into the United States, or it gets a little harder to apply for asylum. So you want to make sure you're within that deadline. And for those of you who've already applied for asylum, now is the time to really think about, did you submit enough in your application? When we are looking at asylum, we have to submit, it's not just about submitting a 2-page statement. It's probably supposed to be a lot longer than a 2-page statement. And some people just fill out the application, they don't even attach a statement. But that statement has to be solid. It has to have a lot of detail. And then, in addition to that, it's not only that, but proving, showing through other types of evidence that the whatever your fear in your country that justifies your asylum truly exists on a broader scale. So, for example, we have to do additional research. We research case law to see if your category, your particular social group, or the category that you're under applying for asylum, if case law supports that strongly. If it does, then it makes our job a little easier. If it doesn't, we have to do extensive research to be able to define your particular social group, for example, just like how I described to you a minute ago. And then we also have to look at country conditions. We have to look at news articles to see if there are incidents. And in some cases, if you experience police brutality, arrest, imprisonment, we have to also explore whether we can obtain additional records, official records, detailing what you experienced. So it's not just about attaching a statement. It's about putting yourself in the best position. So when you're going to that interview, it's already, the officer has already reviewed it and sees that you have a credible claim. So I know many people don't do that level of detail, and that's where it's important to, it's not too late. It's not too late. You can do that, but you must do it. Make sure you do it before the interview. So get in touch with us if you want to talk about your case and move forward with supplementing. We can take over your case and basically supplement that asylum application. And then we also attach briefing. Briefing is very important. Case law is very important. So we attach that as well to ensure that you have the best chance possible. All right, so now that I've said my piece about asylum, I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions. So I see a number of questions coming in. I'm going to start on Instagram, and then I'm going to go to YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. And thanks so much for the love on TikTok. The more you tap the screen, the more people will see the live and be able to join in on information that can empower them. All right. So I'm trying to find a lawyer that can help my mother filing for me. Absolutely. Give us a call and let's talk about it. I'm a foreign student now on my OPT. What are some options? What options do I have? So it's going to depend. Usually, when you're on OPT, the next step, if you'd like to stay in the United States, is to locate an employer who can petition for you or who can help you to file an H-1B, a visa, just depending on what area you're in. You can also look at possibly national interest waiver that can assist you to apply for your own green card or extraordinary ability. It just depends, though, on what are your qualifications. What's your experience level? Do you have an employer who is willing to get involved and to sign papers and sponsor you? So that is going to definitely require an appointment. Okay, is it true if ICE doesn't pick that person up after 48 hours, they have to release them? So, what they're talking about is the ICE detainer. And in case it's in each state, so for example, in Florida, for example, it's 72 hours. In other states, it's 48 hours. But what the police have an agreement with ICE that says if, for example, if the person lacks immigration status or there's some suspicion that the person is wanted by ICE, they will contact ICE and ICE will put a detainer on the person and to say hold them up to 48 hours or 72 hours, just depending on the state law. And then after that time is passed, and should there be no further justification to hold them in jail, then they're supposed to release them. Absolutely. So after 48 hours, they're supposed to release them. So it is, yes, it is. And there have been multiple lawsuits, by the way, for cases where the police did not release them after the 48 hours because, yeah, they're supposed to, because there's no justification to hold someone. And usually this detainer is put in place saying, they say they're supposed to be released from jail today. They have 48 hours from the date of release to come pick them up. If they don't pick them up, they release them. Why can't you get a work permit for VAWA if you have an NTA also? Is there something you can do? So the reason is once you receive a notice to appear, you're under the jurisdiction of the immigration court. And that means that you can't file an adjustment of status because now the USCIS does not have jurisdiction. And it's only by applying an adjustment of status application that you're able to apply for a work permit and a travel document along with the adjustment of status application. So yes, that can be frustrating. But keep in mind that the VAWA is a defense to removal, even though it's not very helpful when you're also struggling to figure out how to live without a work permit. So I get that frustration. So yes, guys, if you get a notice to appear, it basically restricts your ability to apply for adjustment of status. This is why you should always treat your case urgently. If you qualify for something, jump on it. Don't wait, because if you end up in immigration court, it can very well take away your eligibility for certain benefits. And by having a pending process, sometimes it can help with pushing your case forward in the right direction, getting your case terminated in immigration court, or succeeding to get relief in immigration court. All right, so I'm on TikTok now. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments. I filed my I-130 since 2022. It's processed. How long is it going to take? So go look at the processing times on uscis.gov for the I-130. You'll get an idea of the range of time I-130s are taking for a decision. Is it okay to send a letter to USCIS for your process to go quicker? So if you're doing an expedite request, it really is on a case-by-case basis. You should make sure you're talking to your attorney about it. But an expedite request, you want to be sure to provide detailed information about why your case needs to be expedited. Is it sure to get a work permit after filing I-360, I-765, I-131 together? If you file an I-485, I-765, and an I-131 all together, then you would be in the running for a work permit. So you'd be considered for the work permit. But I wouldn't, is it a guarantee of approval? It just depends on your background and if there are any disqualifying any issues that may prevent you from getting the work permit. How long do I have to wait after we did the interview and exam? So you'd have to look at the processing times and you'll get an idea of what the longest time is you'll have to wait. Can land wrangles work as asylum seeker? I'm not sure if it means they're taking away land. It may. We need to hear more. Can a pending asylum apply for EB-5? It's going to depend. It just depends on what your current status is here in the United States to determine whether you can apply for the EB-5. If I file for bankruptcy, will it affect me getting my mom a green card? So I would want to hear more because filing for bankruptcy should not necessarily affect your ability, because when you petition for your mom, they're looking at your income. They're looking at what are you making, and is that sufficient to support your mom to stop her from possibly going on public benefits. If there are any issues or facts that are raised during the bankruptcy that becomes public knowledge, that may cause the officer to scrutinize that affidavit of support more closely to determine whether you do qualify or not to support your mom. So we're gonna be very fact based here, but it's very important that you show solid income to be able to have that affidavit of support approved. Usually they don't look at the US citizen's background, but if it should come up, you'd want to make sure you can show uh, solid evidence of your income, that you have sufficient income. My N400 has been processing for almost 2 years. Is that normal? No, it's not normal. However, what I would say is the way we know whether you can take action is you go to uscis.gov, go to case processing times, look at the processing times for the N400. If this 2 years is over what the range of time that's on the case processing time, then you could submit a case inquiry to start. Can you obtain green card even with 28-year age difference? So having a 28-year age difference in a marriage-based process definitely is going to be a red flag. It's not to say you won't be denied, because love is love, but you have to work a little harder to be able to show that this is a bona fide marriage. This is not just an arrangement. So be prepared for questioning and scrutiny of the age difference and the bona fide evidence of bona fide marriage that you have. I have my 10-year green card. I want to travel. So that's the 10-year green card allows you to travel. But what I would say is just always be aware of your particular background. Is there anything in your background that's going to raise a red flag, cause you to go through secondary inspection, or face additional questioning? So you just want to understand your personal risks. Is there any update, pause visa? No, not at this time. I'm an IR2 visa in Ivory Coast. Give me some tips for my interview. So, in our many interviews that we've prepped our clients for, we personally provide our clients with their a packet with all they're going to need at the interview. If we anticipate there are any questions that are going to be raised, we also make sure that we include those, we prep our clients for those questions. Just have all your documentation. That's usually the number one reason for delays, is the lack of documents or not having the documents that are needed or required for that interview. Okay. Okay, so how strong is the successful rate for you for the T visa? So we have over a 95% success rate. for T visas. Knock on wood, we keep going strong. And across the board, we have a very high success rate across the board in all of our applications, but particular for the T visa, we're very strong in that area. Isn't an immigration fraud if USCIS collects processing fee from applicants and pause the processing? Not well. This is definitely up for debate in the court, so they're litigating the pause right now. I came in through the border and inspected. Can I marry a U.S. citizen? Can I adjust? If you've been inspected at the border and you are given parole, you are given admission, yes. But make sure you're consulting with an attorney. Whenever you're talking about going through the border, you need to make sure you fully understand whether you fit within that criteria. Good afternoon. When get work permit for a T visa, how long does it take to get approved? So it could take about 8 to 12 months, but keep in mind, guys, I don't control processing times. The USCIS does. So if you want to go look at the processing times for the work permit, you can see it directly from them, the range of time they're taking for that. Do you think they will bring DACA back? They might bring another version of the DACA, so we'll have to see. I'm hoping, praying that they come up with a more permanent solution than just the DACA. I had NTA for my hearing yesterday. Then when I went into the court, I was told no court for me today. So they're probably going to reschedule. Okay. What is happening with the C40 work permit for the visa T bona fides? So they are reviewing those on a case-by-case basis. It is a discretionary benefit. So, we have been getting some, but it's a discretionary decision on the officer side. They are being issued. It's just every case is different. Hi there, Jerome. It's nice to see you. Can someone show self-deport if their visa is expired? You want to just understand the full consequences of leaving, just so you understand what it could look like. Filing for T visa after biometrics, how long before we hear back from USCIS? It could be a couple months. Things tend to go very quiet until either a bona fide decision is made and you get the EAD, or a final decision. Hi there, Jellica. It's nice to see you. Thank you for that. Okay. No updates on the 75 countries immigrant visa pause. What I would say is, if you're here in the United States, the pause does not apply to those who are in the US unless you're from a banned country, and you should look at filing for AOS instead. Can I adjust the status of my married DACA daughter with 2 American-born kids? Talk to us. That's a bit detailed. We want to hear details. I do believe that that we do need immigration reform, and that both sides, Republicans, the Democrats, are definitely they definitely want to see something happen for dreamers. However, it's how we get there. I think once they figure out how everybody's going to come together to get there, we will see some positive immigration reform that creates a pathway, a permanent pathway for dreamers as well. Okay, that's gonna be it for me. I have to head into an appointment. Thanks again, guys, for joining me. I'm gonna work to be back again. What I say is like, subscribe, follow, hit the notification bell. That is how you will see when I go on. You hop on with me if you're available, and you can ask your questions then. Thanks so much for the love and for the rose and the gifts on TikTok, and thanks for the support on Facebook and YouTube. All right. Have a great one, and I'll see you hopefully tomorrow. Bye bye.